best to reach those we can, and that includes you, because we do believe this information is important. You asked me why I do this. That's why. It might not be my primary mission, but it's certainly an important part of why I'm here.
The Federation, though, is planning and does have a database, and we will be releasing as much of the ancient history and the complete history of the planet, the galaxy, the solar system as is possible as soon as possible.
Unabridged.
Yeah. Unedited, uncorrupted, without the this is how we want you to believe it. It's the unbiased version.
Unbottlerized.
Yeah.
I see that some sites even mention both Galactic Federation of Planets and the Galactic Federation of Light as working together. Is this true?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Anybody who's claiming that is either mistaken or attempting to muddy the water. Anybody who claims that the Galactic Federation of Planets and the Galactic Federation of Light are the same organization is lying and attempting to muddy the water.
We're openly declared enemies. We don't hide it. We do not like the Galactic Federation wizards. They're not our friends. They're not your friends. They're not anybody's friends.
Nor does the Galactic Federation of Planets ever refer to itself as the Confederation or Confederation of anything.
The majority of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed beings come from the Pleiades.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily your friend. Now, there are some that are fine. That's great. There's some, people who fit the white beauty stereotype who are actually decent people. But on the whole, the word Pleiadian nowadays, despite what New Agers and Channelers might tell you, is not a keyword for good guy. It is a keyword for somebody who's here to mess you up, trick you. I'm pretty much mistrustworthy of, or mistrusting of subterranean peoples. Most of them, you find the odd ones that are true positives, but most of them really aren't doing anyone any good.
Or, quite often have been found to be working for the other side.
Doesn't matter how much you romanticize it or what their native dimensionality is. Remember, people, that higher dimensionality does not guarantee goodness.
Will all present religions continue to function after transition in 4D?
That would be an unlikely feat. Simply put, too much surrounding transition basically makes these things self-evidently false.
Yeah, considering that the planetary population basically outgrew the current world religions about 457 years ago. And definitely, when, as disclosure continues to happen, as the reintroduction of our extraterrestrial ancestors occurs, as the transition kicks into even higher gear than it already is, and especially once it makes the jump from 3D to 4D, it'll definitely become self-evident that that stuff is basically a lot of horse hockey. Based on false stories. And
this is not meant to be disrespectful. It's just that it's not true.
Yeah.
Do the alien races worship a creator?
Divide and conquer. That's the reason why we have so many religions. It is just another point of division which keeps us at each other's throats so we can't unify and throw off our oppressors. As for whether or not aliens have religion, no. For the most part, most alien species, most extraterrestrials, do not have religion. They do acknowledge the matter-of-fact existence of a creator. This is not, however, bound by a bunch of prescribed or prescribed practices, worship, or belief. Worship is not necessary. Anything that requires worship is not worthy of it.
There's a lot of people that are looking for proof that the ETs are here. Go out any night that the sky is clear and reach out and, just say that you want contact. You want to know they're here, but you only want contact from positive ETs.
Yeah, specify friendly.
Or friendly. Okay. And give it 10 minutes, maybe even up to 30 minutes.
Yeah, it can take a while to get to your location. If they're not in the immediate vicinity, it can take up to 15 to 30 minutes. So don't, stare for 2 minutes and give up. As much as, we consider the people who are listening to this show to be our friends, bear in mind there are people listening who are not our friends. We're giving out information for free on the radio. Of course this is being listened to. You only have to watch and listen and see how often we get knocked off when we start talking about controversial topics to realize that, yes, indeed, people are listening. We're not going to give away any tactical information. That's stupid.
Also, the nature of time itself is very malleable, and it's subject to change. Even as TANAATH pointed out, that a timeline can change in the blink of an eye. And, any number of things can change a timeline, can shift a timeline.
You guys said there is a lot of tourism out in space, so how does one get compensated for their services, or do they just do it for the fun of it?
They just do it for the fun of it. There's no, compensation system when it comes to, most if not all of the positives up there, the neutrals and the majority of the negatives. There's no economic financial system, but if you have the inclination to where you really enjoy going on a vacation or a tour with your the captain and the crew and all that, you can pick up a bottle of wine or a box of fruit while you're at one planet or another and just give it to them and say, here, thanks for an awesome vacation or thanks for an awesome tour. Something along that line, or make them a piece of jewelry or a statue or anything like that. They are more interested in hearing a genuine thank you or receiving a gift that comes from the heart that is handmade, by an individual than they would be interested in just about anything else. But they're, if they're out there being a tour guide, they're doing it because that's what they love. It's what they enjoy. It's what they have fun doing. Because that's basically how it works up there. You get to do what you're passionate.
They're talking about the Androni.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a federation. They're actually not Andromeda Council, although sharing the same star system as Nicote, and they are both Federation and Andromeda Council. Andron is the name of the planet, and yes, it should not surprise you that we get the root of words such as androgens and androgynous and philanthropy and things like that from that, because the root of that language forms the root of ancestral Greeks. As for what Androni look like, they tend to be about 5'0" to 5'5", heavily muscled, not steroidsy muscled, but definitely looking like bodybuilders, even when they're not. And this is because Andron has 3 times the gravity of Earth, and they tend to have tightly curled to wavy hair that tends to run about mid-brown to coal black or even blue-black. The shape of their facial features is very, very classical Greek, which, again, should be no surprise since they are the genetic forebearers of the Greeks. Not all of them are gay, but most of them are. The women mostly fraternize with the women, and the men mostly fraternize with the men. And they come together in contract marriages to have families and make children, and it works very well for them, and they like it. The men tend to get involved in the more martial aspects and are part of the Federation's elite ground fighting force and elite navy. And they're very, very strong allies of Earth.
The reason why there's the stigma here with gay people is because of the fact that the Andrani are so good at kicking the Reptoid butt and the Cabal's butt that the only way they can get back at the Andrani, because they obviously cannot hurt the Andrani and they cannot attack the Andrani effectively, is to have this stigma about the Greeks and have the stigma about the gay people. Because that's where where the origins of homosexuality here on the planet come from, is the Andrani.
We have Andron to thank for a great many things, such as feta cheese, olives, and pomegranates, yes, also known as Androni apples, and winemaking, a personal favorite of mine. Andron has a very Mediterranean climate all over the planet and is composed of island continents and archipelagos. It doesn't have a lot of continental mass. The Androni are seafarers by ancestry and have taken this to space, so they really love their sailing. Their eyes tend to run any color of the rainbow and all have this very, very beautiful crystalline quality to them. And they tend to change color when they have different moods, too. Mood ring eyes. It's very pretty.
And they all have a mischievous spark to them.
Oh, yes, they're very mischievous.
I would say that, they have nightclubs. They have, very modern to futuristic style buildings. It's a very beautiful planet.
It's not common. Most of the blondes are results of breeding outside. The Androni population actually had a genetic crisis several 100,000 years ago, and as a result were recommended to form contract marriages with non-Androni in order to bring in some fresh genetics, and many have done so.
Do replicators create raw, fresh, organic foods, or only processed synthetic equivalents?
They produce organic food. Raw or cooked is up to you, but it's not a synthetic, put-together chemical thing. It is a perfect duplicate of real food.
And also high nutrients. Food that comes out of the replicator is nutriently adjusted to specific individuals.
Meaning that you're not going to get something that contains GMO that's going to hurt you. Okay. Meaning you won't even get a natural food that contains a natural poison that's going to hurt you. It's tailored to the individual.
Will they still have the same emotions in 4D?
You'll have a wider emotional range, and the negative emotions will be blunted, and the positive emotions will be emphasized.
Free energy is here, but we may need a hand with the non-human controllers. Is there something the benevolent could do to get rid of the suppression by the non-humans, stifling the release of the new energy sources?
We're working on it.
Yeah. It's already in progress, guys.
This is definitely a major goal of ours, is to free up, basically get rid of the interference so that the Terran-made and Terran-developed technologies and products can be disseminated on a mass scale. We're not here to be saviors. We're not here to tell you how to live your lives. We're not here to hand over scads and scads of tech. We're here to help you live freely. We're here to clear away the scum that have been tainting the pool so that the waters can run clear and you can see what you want to do yourself. And protecting people who are involved in the distribution and production of that tech is definitely one of our goals, as is helping with the dissemination process.